Whoa, what is going on, guys? Quentin coming at you with another little video on the CrowShow because I know I need to start making more uploads about something these days. So how you guys doing myself? So today we are going to be talking about both Marvel Universe and the DC Universe. Now, this title will say, why do I defend DC more than I defend Marvel? The answer to that question is pretty legit and pretty simple in my opinion. I feel that people are just so ungrateful for the DC Universe. Why do I feel this way? Well, it's just because it's like freaking how many freaking months since Batman v Superman came out? I want to say it was probably about a year. Or maybe not. If it's not, that's my mistake. It's been so long since I've seen the movie because, you know, I own it now, and I don't really need to think back to when I saw it at the theater. But, you know, at the same token, it was a while ago. It was so long ago, and it's like, you know, I understand not a lot of people enjoyed it, and a lot of people did enjoy it, but a majority of the people just really didn't like the movie. The thing is, if it's that old of news, if a lot of people can get over the fact that there's freaking tragic events that happen, or that there were shitty movies, and they get over it in just like in no time, no whatsoever, like the freaking Fantastic Four movie, that only took like literally a whole month to get over, and then the Ghost Rider movies they took even less time to get over, or the Superman Returns movie, they got over that in no time, and then the Green Lantern, like there's been so many things that I could go on about that people have gotten over just like that. But then you look at Batman v Superman, and people are still going on about that shit, and then they're still talking a little bit of shit about Suicide Squad that's around $700 million worldwide from after it was just released in theaters. Now the thing is, people just don't seem to let go of old things. I understand a lot of people don't like Batman v Superman. I understand this. I understand there's a lot of people that didn't like Suicide Squad. I understand this. And yes, I do understand that Rotten Tomatoes is owned by Warner Brothers and stuff like that. But at the same token, there's been so much shit talked about DC movies that people are just going a little too overboard with it. Now the thing is, it's like, I don't defend Marvel because, yes, there hasn't been that many problems with a lot of Marvel movies, but I'm not going to say that they were perfect, because there wasn't. I can name off a couple flaws from a couple movies that I've seen recently in the Marvel Universe. The very first Spider-Man movie, there have been times where he was swinging with his web from absolutely nothing. But then in the newest Spider-Man movies, it actually showed him swinging from the buildings. The very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, he just swung off of nothing. And the thing is, the very first Spider-Man movie-based game that ever came out, it even shows him shooting his web at pure sky, and it's not even attached to a building, and he's just swinging across the freaking park. That's so unrealistic. And then I look at the movie and I'm like, where is he swinging from? And then in the second one, they started doing a little bit better with his webbing, but still he was swinging from nothing. And then the third Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, it was getting a little bit better, but it was still not at the level of number 2 Spider-Man, because he was still swinging from nothing. So that's like leaving me to be like questioning, what the hell are you're supposed to be shooting at the buildings, yet you're shooting in pure sky of your web, and you're swinging off of nothing. You know, I don't get that at all, because, you know, in the Civil War, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man was swinging from like all the little tiny objects that were around him, because, you know, he didn't have that many buildings surrounding him to like swing off of. So that was very realistic, and they did a really good job at like getting Spider-Man's webbing down, and they're really, really well done. But at the same token, there was so many problems with that. The fact that, you know, Spider-Man was just straight up swinging from absolutely nothing. The Ghost Rider movies. Now, the Ghost Rider movies, I didn't really have a problem with. I thought at some points it was really cool. I thought the motorcycle scene was cool. I thought him doing some type of fighting was cool. But there really wasn't that much fighting in the movie, so that's the problem right there. The action sequence, the fighting sequences, there was none. He barely fought anything, and the things when he like did fight stuff, it was just revealing the weaknesses of the elemental people he was fighting. The guy that was made of water, the guy that was made of earth, and the guy that was made of wind. He just did the opposite of how to kill them, and he won. He didn't fight them. A fight's like a straight-on fist fight, you know? Kicking, kneeing, elbowing, headbutting, and stuff like that. You gotta have that in there if you're gonna have an action sequence like the Ghost Rider. And the thing is, it's like it lacked the fighting. And then the Ghost Rider 2, The Vengeance of Spare, I haven't finished the whole movie. It's one of the very other movies that I have not finished watching, just like the Punisher 1 and the Punisher Warzone. I finally finished those, and those are really, really good movies. But anyway, Spirit of Vengeance was just so dark for a Marvel movie, in my opinion. Only because it just revolved around Satanism and rituals of Satan and stuff like that and all that. And I understand, you know, Ghost Rider's from hell and shit like that, but the thing is like, the Marvel Universe doesn't need to be that dark, whether if it's a really dark character or not. Yes, Punisher is a dark character because he kills people and all that shit, but the thing is, Ghost Rider is part of the legit Marvel Universe, so there should be no reason that, you know, it's Sony's fault or it's this company's fault. Because last time I watched the Ghost Rider movies, I'm pretty sure it was just owned by the same Marvel Industries that was making the newest Marvel movies. If I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But the same token, it's like, you know, that's still a problem in my book, that it's just way too dark. And I still, even though I love the Punisher movies to death, the Warzone was a bit much, and it's a good thing that they made it off of a different branch of the Marvel industry, which was the Marvel Knights, which is a more graphic comic book section of the Marvel Comics. And that's okay. So you guys had complete control over that. That's great. Good for you. I admire that. But the thing is like, Punisher isn't that brutal. He doesn't freaking decapitate people with a little pocket knife. He doesn't throw people into a bottle dispenser and make their face look shit like after they get freaking plastic surgery from a facial surgeon. No, he doesn't do that. He just punishes people and kills them, plain and simple. But you know, it's not to say that he doesn't do things that are really, really fucking awesome, because I enjoy watching that movie, and the video game of the Punisher was pretty fucking badass as a kid playing. Other problems in Marvel universes, I will even have to diss my very favorite Marvel movie I've ever watched, the Deadpool movie. There was times where Deadpool's like certain equipment that he was wearing disappeared in certain frames and then reappeared in the next frame. In one frame in particular, there's like a couple of them in there, but I'm only gonna name one that I saw even to this day. Is when he jumped out of the van car, spun around, and shot his pistol. Now, if you see in that scene, when he first jumps out the car and spins around, his swords are gone. And in this frame where it zooms in close to his face, where it's showing him and the gun shooting, the swords are back. And that's a problem. That's a flaw right there. See, that Marvel movie's not as freaking perfect as you think. Let's see. In Captain America: Civil War, where Scarlet Witch was grabbing that guy that was Crossbones. She grabbed him when he was about to detonate a pretty much a kamikaze bomb on himself. She threw him up into the building and shit like that. Now the thing is like, there were so many ways that this could have ended differently. She obviously has control of her powers to the fact that she can throw Vision through a fucking building. Why couldn't have she just taken the guy and just straight up throw him backwards? Because I looked behind her in that scene, and there was enough building space because the buildings were a little bit lower than the one that she threw him at. Why couldn't have she just thrown him backwards where there was enough space between the buildings and the floor? Better yet, by the time she threw him, only halfway away from her, he would have already exploded in the freaking sky and not killed anybody. And the thing is, it's like another person who made like how it should have ended of the Captain America Civil War. Why wasn't Vision there? Why couldn't have he stopped it? He could have faced through the floor, grabbed him, and put him through the floor, and let him explode, and then come back up. Easy. Freaking Vision's pretty much a god. Why can't he just fucking be there when he needs to be there? I don't know. There's big flaws that they didn't think about, and the fact that Captain America Civil War was a little bit tad freaking slow, that I almost fell asleep during it, is another problem, because it's just like, I love the movie. It was fantastic. It was probably the best freaking Captain America or Marvel movie I've seen since Deadpool, but Deadpool's still number one on my book. But it's like, you know, it had such great potential and it was a great story and everything, but it was so boring at some points. And what's up with freaking Black Panther becoming over obsessive because his dad died? Are we trying to fucking play Batman here? Because that's what I'm getting off of that. That vibe is just literally straight up daddy's boy bullshit, because, you know, he's super obsessive trying to find somebody that didn't kill his dad. What the fuck? It's funny to think about that, you know, people are trying to point out these flaws in DC movies, but, you know, they never really thought about the fact that, you know, DC movies aren't as perfect as Marvel movies are, because Marvel movies aren't as perfect either. But people insist on saying that Marvel movies are perfect, there's nothing wrong with it. And one person in particular told me that when they made Batman v Superman, they teased the Justice League a little bit too much, and that they forced the fight between Doomsday and Superman. I don't see how it was forced. So many fights just come out of nowhere that nobody expected in so many movies, including Marvel movies. Nobody expected half the fights that they got into. Especially the Deadpool movie. When Deadpool came out, nobody expected who he was going to fight, but he ended up fighting somebody. That was a pretty big deal. But in all regards, I know that these movies aren't all owned by the same Marvel company because they're all different branches of Marvel, but still they have the Marvel logo. So I mean, I count them as all Marvel movies in my eyes. I don't see them as individual Marvel movies. I just see them as Marvel movies. They're great. But you know, they say that it was teased too much. But the thing is like Iron Man 1 teased the Avengers idea a little bit too soon. If they would have waited until Captain America came out, I would have understood. But you know, they teased it in Iron Man 1 a little bit too soon, but not too bad at this. Like, it was tolerable. Like, everybody knew it in an instant that meant the Avengers was coming. But then in Iron Man 2, Nick Fury was around the whole freaking time, just basically pushing on screen, hey, Avengers is coming. I'm still making it. It's still happening. I'm mentioning it a bunch of times in the movie. It was pushed pretty freaking much in that movie the whole freaking time it was going. It's like, okay, I get it. Nick Fury's here. Avengers is still happening. He's still trying to get Tony Stark in it. I get it. We get it. Avengers are still coming. Thor didn't really push it, so I'm glad it didn't really push it. But at the same token, I feel like since they already did it through the first like 3 or 4 movies, why not put it in there and be like, yeah, Avengers is happening. But then Captain America is when it snapped it off, and it's like, okay, we're done. Movie's coming. Watch out for it this summer. Great. And then the movie of the Avengers came out, and it was great. It was fantastic. I had a good fucking time watching the whole thing. I still watch it. It's still a fucking good movie. And I don't have problems with it. But the thing is like, you know, people trying to think that DC does all these problems. But the thing is like, Marvel's in the same situation where they have problems of their own as well. I don't people understand that not all movie companies are perfect. Not all productions of films are going to be accurate. And not all films are going to be 100% perfect. It's just not possible. I hear this fucking thing about how people say that Suicide Squad's editing was shitty. Okay, wait, hold on. Editing? Are you in the back of the fucking set watching the person who is editing the video the whole time? Do you know what software they're editing with? What is the name of the software that they're editing with? What is their router that it's connected to? What equipment are they using to edit the film? What type of mouse or keyboard or touchscreen are they using? Is it by Toshiba? Is it Skull Candy? What kind of type of it? Unless you know all this information on the fact of what they are using to edit this film, don't be saying that you can see the editing, because nobody can see the editing. They see the freaking film itself. There's nothing you can pick out. It's not saying, oh, edited by Power Director, or edited by Vidstream, or Videotron, or something like that. It doesn't have that on the fucking movie. So don't try and say that you know what editing is, unless you can do better. And if you can't do better, just keep the mouth shut, okay? Because, you know, that's just bullshit, in my opinion. I don't think that anybody should be saying, well, the editing was shitty in the movie. It was horrible in this part of the edit. You weren't there. You weren't editing the video. You can't make better than that. You can't make over $1 million by making one fucking film. So just don't talk like that, because you obviously don't know what it's like to edit a big, straight-up feature film that's going to be worldwide. You don't know the experience. You can't know the experience. Do you have the money? No. Do you have the experience? Probably not. Do you have the equipment? No. Do you have this and this and that? No. So you don't know what it's like to be an editor or a film director or any of that stuff, because you've only had minor experience. I can say that I'm not a professional at what I do on my videos and my channels, because I'm still just learning my wings, you know? But I have faith in time that I will learn to be better. And if I don't, I don't. Who cares? I'll keep trying. But the thing is like, you know, people, I feel, are ungrateful for the DC Universe and what it's trying to provide for us. They could just straight up tell us, like I said with Halo 5, they could say, you know what, screw you fans, you're not getting any movies. You're just gonna go ahead and get nothing. Go ahead and go watch Marvel movies. We don't need to make movies anymore for you. And you know what, if they did that, I would admire that. I would salute them for that, because I honestly feel that people are just ungrateful, self-centered hypocrites that just don't understand the concept of making a movie. Because, you know, it's not that easy to go on set and film something and move the cameras in certain angles and degrees, and to make sure that the cast is in their certain spot and it's about to say the exact same line that you see on the paper. And along with that, you need stunt actors that are willing to put their life on the line in order to make a certain action scene look legit and awesome, which could end up killing them or injuring them very freaking horrible. But, you know, nobody thinks about that. They just think that, you know, making movies is easy. I'm still making movies, and it's hard for me to make movies with what I have, but the thing is, I know the risk. I know the amount of time it's going to take to make the film. I do it anyways, because, you know, it's that freaking addicting to do once you really get into the field of film. But I just wanted to express my feelings on the matter of, like, I feel people are just not really understanding the sides of that, not both DC and Marvel, they're not perfect. They don't make perfect films. They don't make accurate films to the comic books. It's impossible to make comic book accuracy, because if they do, that's just a blow off of the actual freaking comic book, and then you got lawsuits going through the freaking comic book section and stuff like that. You don't want that. That's why they improvise and mix it up a little bit. That's how this works, okay? Not every single movie is going to be accurate to the freaking comic book it comes from. It's just impossible. It's really impossible. The only thing that could be accurate towards the comic books is the cartoons. And you know what? Those are fine. But other than that, I don't really have a problem with Marvel. I love Marvel. I have a huge freaking section of Marvel movies, and it overpowers my freaking DC section I have, because the majority of the DC movies that I have are cartoon and graphic cartoons and stuff like that, because, you know, the only successful cartoon or hero on the DC freaking comics is Batman. Plain and simple. So, thank you guys for watching. If you agree with anything I said here, if you're a DC fan, if you're a Marvel fan, I want to hear your guys' story on this, okay? I just want to hear your comments. Don't hate on me. I want to hear your guys' side of the story. All right, why do you like Marvel? Why do you like DC? Why don't you not like Marvel? Why don't you like DC? Let's go ahead and just make it a nice, clean little debate and be friendly to everybody, because I just feel that maybe not everybody is looking at it the same way I am, and I feel like maybe you guys should. Just look at movies for home entertainment and family bring-togethers and friend bring-togethers, because that's really what movies are for. To bring you the love of a movie and your friends and family together.